Vreau să facem următorul lucru. Vreau să aplaudăm foarte mult și foarte tare ca să-i păcălim pe cei de afară să vină în interior, să fie curioși de ceea ce se întâmplă. Se poate mai bine, haideți! Vă rugăm să ocupați locurile, să continuăm evenimentul. Îmi revine deosebită plăcere să îi fac introducerea pentru această seară lui Marius. Marius are o bogată experiență antreprenorială în medii de afaceri din Europa, Japonia, Emiratele Arabe Unite. Pasiunea pentru inovare a produs peste 300 de concepte revoluționare și a câștigat zeci de premii și medalii la competiții internaționale de profil. Voluntariatul este una din activitățile sale favorite și a dedicat ani din viață, activând în 9 ONG-uri din domenii precum Inventica, dezvoltarea comunitară, tineret, ecologie, alături de care a obținut rezultate notabile. În prezent, este investitor și business developer la Directimo Dubai, precum și broker de top în Dubai, lucrează în special cu ultra high net worth individual, de la miliardari, influenceri de top, personalități, top management din companii globale, politicieni și chiar membri ai caselor regale. Pentru dumneavoastră, direct din Dubai, Marius Păslariu.
Mulțumesc, Alina, pentru cuvintele frumoase. Hai să vedem, mai vine cineva? Mai este cineva pe afară? Ok, eu sunt aici rezerva. Ștefan trebuia să fie în locul meu, nu am pretenția că voi putea să-l înlocuiesc. Cu toate acestea, aș vrea doar așa să vă încălzesc puțin pentru ceea ce urmează. Și încălzirea asta va fi foarte simplă, nu vă iau mult, doar vreo 10 minute, pentru că vreau să îi permit amicul meu, Rafael, să continue exact așa cum ar trebui și cu un discurs complet. Eu aș vrea să vă povestesc pe scurt câteva lucruri care sper că vă vor inspira din experiența mea. Era vreo 2017-2016, de fapt, în momentul în care am reactivat filiala JCI Suceava. Mai aveam ceva business-uri prin Suceava, micuțe, ce drept. Lumea mă știa, mi-era cald și bine, puteam să stau locului și să nu fac nimic. Dar, la fel cum tema acestei serii este borderless, eu am ales ca interpretarea mea pentru borderless să fie în direcția de a depăși zona de confort. Și am zis, ok, după un an de zile de președinție JCI Suceava, trebuie să merg la etapa următoare. Și etapa următoare a fost să închid socotelele cu Suceava, cu România, și să merg într-o zonă total necunoscută, ca și idee background antreprenorial, nu am avut niciodată experiență în vânzări, cu atât mai puțin în real estate. În Dubai fusesem doar în vacanță. Și am zis, ok, mă mut în Dubai. Și am ajuns în Dubai, la invitația unui amic de-al meu, de multă vreme lansa pastila asta, și când am ajuns acolo am fost copleșit. Volumul de informații la care am fost expus a fost incredibil de mare. În momentul de față, ca și idee, sunt peste 1000 de proiecte active, ceea ce înseamnă că trebuie să știi de în fiecare, da? Am avut norocul, spun eu, multă lume confirmă lucrul acesta, dar s-ar putea ca acesta să fie doar vârful icebergului. Pentru că am fost pregătit. Toți anii care au decurs până acel moment au fost ani de educare, de formare și în momentul în care oportunitatea a venit, am fost acolo să o preiau, să o prind. Prima vânzare am făcut-o în 55 de zile. A fost o vânzare mică, 220.000 de euro. Eram foarte speriat, nu știam ce se întâmplă, foarte bucuros în același timp. Și amicul meu care mă invitase, de fapt, în companie la vremea respectivă, îmi spunea: Marius, uite, colegii tăi au vândut o vilă de $1.000.000. X a vândut 2 vile de 2 milioane de euro fiecare. Zic, ok, interesant, dar mie mi se părea cu adevărat imposibil. Cum să faci deal-uri de valoare asta? Deci chiar era inimaginabil. Doar că, după 5 luni, s-a întâmplat ceva. Și recunosc că ăsta a fost marele meu noroc. După 5 luni, într-o zi de vineri la ei, la vremea respectivă, era zi sfântă, sărbătoare, acum am mutat duminica ca să intre în rând cu lumea, pentru că nu erau mulți pentru că nu erau mulți colegi, agenți, brokeri în sistem, la mine a ajuns din greșeală un lead. Un lead care, apropo, fusese verificat înainte de altcineva și nu era ce trebuie, în sensul care nu a răspuns la telefon. Și a ajuns la mine acel lead. L-am sunat, nu mi-a răspuns, i-am scris pe WhatsApp. Mi-a răspuns, mi-a zis: scuze, sunt pe o insulă, nu am decât acces la Wi-Fi, scriem pe WhatsApp. Și în 5 ore am reușit să-i vând o proprietate de 1,2 milioane de euro. Aia a fost trauma vieții mele, pe de-o parte, pe de altă parte a fost acel ceva care m-a făcut să realizez că totul e posibil. Oricât de mult înainte îmi asumam și ziceam, da, se poate, oricât de convins eram de forțele mele, oricât de pozitiv eram, oricâte cărți am citit, la câte seminarii am participat, ceva în mintea mea parcă încă nu era pregătit. Din momentul în care acel lucru s-a descătușat, totul s-a schimbat. Și ăsta a fost doar primul pas. S-a schimbat în ce sens? În momentul de față, 90% din deal-urile pe care le fac sunt deal-uri de peste $1 milion. Mă chinui în același timp să fac și deal-uri mai mici, dar nu merg la fel de bine ca astea. Cu toate astea, s-a mai întâmplat un lucru. La fel, era bine, era călduț, eram în compania care trebuie, cel puțin așa credeam, primeam lead-uri, făceam vânzări și cu toate astea a venit pandemia. Și în pandemie, oficial spun că am avut 5 luni când n-am vândut nimic. Ei, n-au fost 5, au fost 7 luni când nu am vândut absolut nimic. Pentru o persoană, și apropo, știți cât este salariul meu? Cât era salariul meu? 1 dirham. Deci banii fac doar din comisioane. În acel moment am realizat că ceva nu funcționează. Dacă voi rămâne în continuare să mă bazez pe lead-urile pe care le primesc de la companie, dacă voi rămâne în zona mea de confort, lucrurile nu vor merge în direcția în care trebuie. Și am zis, ce știu eu să fac cel mai bine? Păi, cu câțiva ani înainte, făcusem un eveniment la Suceava, Why Networking Event se numea. Networking. Ok, pe dacă asta știu să fac networking. Iar acesta a fost un nou punct de cotitură, pentru că în momentul în care am început să fac networking și le-am zis celor din firmă, nu mai vreau niciun lead de la voi, eu mă ocup doar de oamenii mei și de clienții mei, din nou lucrurile s-au schimbat. Dar s-au schimbat la un nivel la care nici măcar nu puteam să-mi imaginez. Era un deal de 1 milion de euro, erau mai multe deal-uri de câteva milioane de euro, nici nu mai spun de persoane pe care le servești și pe care le ajut să-și găsească proprietățile. Dar nu puteam să trec de o barieră. Până când, la un moment dat, primesc o solicitare pentru 950 de milioane de euro. Zic, ok, interesant, hai să vedem, se poate lucra pe direcția asta? Nu a fost să fie, deși încă mai păstrez legătura cu acele persoane. Sau poftim, pot să zic că aceste deal-uri durează mai mult. O să vedem. Din nou, iar am ajuns la un prag. La acel moment, îl cunosc pe Rafael. Rafael a ajuns la mine printr-un referral și am petrecut cu el o săptămână. O săptămână în care am căutat proprietatea adecvată. Nimic special. Just small talks. După o săptămână, era chiar de ziua mea, îmi fac curaj și îl întreb, Rafael, cum ai ajuns să scrii cartea The $1 Billion Secret? Și îmi spune, Marius, ai timp? Zic, da. Bine, hai să stăm la o cafea. Și stăm la o cafea și Rafael începe să-mi spună. Sunt matematician, Acum încerc să reproduc cuvintele lui, deci mă pun în persoana lui. Sunt matematician, sunt cercetător. Când a început boom-ul e-commerce, primul, boom.com, am zis, băi, eu cred că știu să fac chestia asta. Programare nu e mare chestie. Și am făcut primul site, prima platformă online de vânzări echipamente sportive din Germania. Și am avut noroc. La un moment dat a trebuit să aleg cu ce continui. Cu partea de business din care făceam deja milioane sau cu partea de matematică. Și am zis, a fost simplu, am mers pe partea de business. Eram la un moment dat la un training și știți cum, acele joculețe, energizere, la un moment dat, toți cei din sală încep să, evident, îndrumarea cuiva, încep să strige, pot să fiu milionar, pot să fiu milionar, pot să fiu milionar. Și Rafael spune, m-am simțit foarte prost, eu deja eram multimilionar, eu nu vreau să fiu milionar. Deci să fiu doar milionar. Și atunci înseamnă că nu eram în mediul adecvat. Și dacă nu eram în mediul adecvat, înseamnă că trebuia să fac tot ce îmi stă în putință să ajung în mediul adecvat. Astfel, Rafael a zis, ce știu eu să fac cel mai bine? Cercetare. Ok, dar pe cine fac cercetare? Pe miliardari. Ăla este targetul meu. Aia este noua mea barieră, noua mea limită pe care vreau să o depășesc. Și astfel, Rafael a ajuns să scrie această carte, ce are la bază o cercetare pe 28 de miliardari făcuți prin forțe proprii. The Billion Secret, și o găsiți acolo de vânzare și autografele tot la Rafael le găsiți, ceva mai târziu. Vreau să vă spun că toate trainingurile pe care le-am făcut, toate seminarele la care am participat, toate cursurile și cărțile, sunt sute de cărți pe care am studiat, nu au avut aceeași valoare ca această oră petrecută cu Rafael. A fost o chestie de mind shifting și m-a pregătit pentru ceea ce urma. V-am spus, 950 de milioane, a picat, nu a funcționat. Ei, acum lucram deja cu Rafael și echipa lui, următorul inquiry vine pentru 7 hoteluri întregi, operaționale. Ok, mă întreb ce urmează de acum încolo. Un alt lucru pe care vreau să-l menționez și cu asta o să închei și o să-i predau lui Rafael ștafeta. Seara asta nu vorbim despre bani. Banii sunt doar o cifră, o cuantificare. Și cred că 𝐁𝐢𝐥𝐥𝐢 spunea într-un podcast că banii sunt importanți atâta timp cât nu îi ai. În momentul în care îi ai, nu mai reprezintă neapărat o valoare. Foarte important este exact acel mindset și înțeleg cât este de greu și cât de greu vă poate fi în anumite momente să depășiți acea limită și de aceea, în această seară, îl avem aici invitat pe Rafael Badziag. Mă bucur și mulțumesc pe această cale că s-a alăturat și a venit din Dubai în Suceava, într-un orășel la capăt de lume, la capăt de România și îi mulțumesc pe această cale din nou. Mulțumesc, Rafael, și acum cred că domnișoare vor să prezinte. Vă doresc o seară frumoasă!
Mulțumim frumos, Marius, pentru că ai șeruit din experiența ta și așa ne dai și nouă imbol să ne depășim limitele. În continuare voi vorbi în limba engleză, așa că dacă sunt printre dumneavoastră persoane care au nevoie de traducere, am să vă rog să vă conectați pe grupul de WhatsApp și vă ajută colegii mei. Our next guest is a global entrepreneur, top TED speaker, best-selling author, and business angel investor. He was born in Poland, then he moved in Germany, and nowadays he lives in Dubai. He is an acclaimed expert in psychology of entrepreneurship, specializing in self-made billionaires, and has appeared on NBC, ABC, CBC, and Fox, as well in USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and the other international newspaper and TV networks. Rafael pioneered e-commerce in Europe in 1998 by founding 𝐅𝐑𝐄𝐃 from his home. Established in Germany's first online bike shop, which he developed into an established business in the market German speaking. He then expanded his businesses, activities, and as both an entrepreneur and investor in a number of internet-based services and products in several countries. He also follows his passion as a motivational writer. His inspirational blog hit first place the day it was launched. He writes for a Billionaire Mentor magazine, and in 2019 he launched the book The $1 Billion Secret, that is currently bestseller on Amazon on several countries and is translated in 16 languages. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Rafael Badziag, please. Now, I'm nervous.
Bună seara, Suceava! No? Okay. Ce faceți? So, and this is where my Romanian language proficiency ends. But let me start with thanking you guys, because your reception was really cordial and your hospitality is legendary. I don't feel as a stranger at all here in Romania. It feels so nice, so familiar to me. So thank you for your reception, and thank you for organizing this great event, and thank you to my good friend, to my best friend, Marius, for letting me speak to you. The topic, the motto of this conference, Borderless, resonates a lot with my mind because I have in my life many interests, but I have one major passion, one passion that guides me, and this is to get to know my limit and cross them. And for this passion to live out, to get to know my limits, I started a project roughly over 10 years ago, certainly. It's called No Limits. You can find it under this address, nolimits.co, where I took several challenges, many challenges to explore my limits, and I was describing my experiences. And I have done many impossible things in my life, either impossible for me, I thought they would be impossible, or other people thought they would be impossible for me, or maybe even things that other people considered impossible or in general, or maybe even things that have never been done before. I will be talking about some of them. I don't want to brag too much. I don't also know what Marius was telling you about me. I hope nothing bad. But generally, after my different challenges, these impossible things, people kept asking me, my friends, how I managed to do all of them. I mean, how I managed to pull them off, and so on. And I realized there is a methodology behind it. And I sat down, I thought about it, how do I do these things, and I codified it, and today I will present to you the 7 steps to do the impossible. I will generally give you the tools I use to do impossible things in life and business. So, let's start with a little bit of terminology. At first, you will realize these steps are really simple, but if you apply them consequently, you will get amazing results. You will amaze yourself and the world. Of course, I will give you some examples for better understanding, and let's start with this, a little bit of theory and terminology, and I promise to you this is all of the theory that you will need for that, but we need some, some terms, some terminology to understand it. So, here we have the 3 spheres of the possible. We are generally talking here about the space of possibility of all the things, of all the projects, dreams, whatever, that you could achieve, maybe you could achieve if they are possible, not possible. Generally, let's start with the smallest circle. It's called the sphere of practically possible, the P, the green P, right? So these are all the things that you think you can do, and you know how to do them. So practically, you could set off and do them now or in some period of time. Then there is a bigger sphere of things that are theoretically possible for you. These are the things that you think you can do, but you don't know exactly how to do them, how to achieve them, right? But you believe in yourself, you think you could do them, maybe you need to learn something, maybe get some training, whatever. And this actually outside of T, outside of this yellow sphere of T, everything outside it you consider impossible for you. But there is a sphere, it's called O, objectively possible. This is the blue things that are objectively possible for you, but you don't realize you can do them. Either you don't believe in yourself, maybe, or you just don't know you have the skill, you have the possibility, or maybe there are some methodological flaws that we will be talking about today, what you could do to actually do this stuff. And I don't deny that there are really maybe some things that are generally impossible for you. This is everything outside O, or outside this blue sphere. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you are not able to jump 5 meters high without any instruments. Maybe there are some really limits, but generally you will find out, you will see, you can achieve much more than you think is possible for you. And maybe some of you have seen my TED Talk, Impossible is Easier Than You Think. If not, I recommend to watch it on YouTube. It shows how much you can actually pull off, and we will have some examples today as well. At the end, I have to say this is generally very subjective. So everybody has different spheres of possible. There are certainly some things that are possible for you that are not possible for me at the moment, and vice versa, and so on. There are certainly some biological limitations, whatever. And now the question to all of you, because in the success literature, in the personal development literature, there is a lot about the comfort zone. Where in this picture is the comfort zone? Who knows? Yeah, in the green. This is a little dot in the green. So we are here not talking about comfort zone, like leaving your comfort zone or, going outside your comfort zone. No, we are talking about really big stuff, about doing big things, impossible things. So let's start. First part, beliefs. You have to realize that the size of your beliefs is, the size of your success is determined by the size of your beliefs. So if you can only achieve something if you believe you can achieve it, right? I'll give you an example. If you believe you will never build a skyscraper if you don't believe you could do it. This is clear. You can build a skyscraper only if you can believe. If you believe you could do it, then you will at least try. Maybe you will fail, but only then you have the chance. So you can generally achieve what you think is possible for you. And most people don't realize their dreams because they consider these dreams impossible to achieve, and they just don't do anything to actually achieve them. And now we come to the term impossible. What does it actually mean, impossible? I can think of maybe 3 options. One is I don't know how to do it. That's why I think it's impossible. Second, nobody has done it before. Or third option would be this has extremely low probability. Like, for example, let's say, if I play football, somebody may think it's impossible to become a world champion because there are millions and millions of people playing football in the world. The probability of becoming a world champion in football is so low that it's virtually impossible. So, and my first, let's say, approach to the topic of impossibility or possibility was in my first marathon. Marathon is a 42-kilometer run. Many people do that, but I realized that with that experience that most of the limitations we experience in our lives, or the limitations that we have, they are not limitations imposed on us by the laws of nature. They are not physical limitations. Most limitations we are subject to, they are limitations in our heads, in our minds. So what we have in our heads actually keeps us from reaching our goals for doing really big things. And there is a difference between I think I can't and I objectively can't. And this is what I learned in my first marathon, because let's say half a year before my first marathon, I thought I couldn't do it. But I realized this was just a thought, and the reality can be completely different, right? So of course I managed to do it, and I realized that impossible is just an opinion. But the other thing is, there is also a difference between I am not able to do something now versus I will never be able to do something. So with my first marathon, 6 months before, I really objectively couldn't run a marathon. So if I started, I would probably drop down of exhaustion, or I would get I will drop off, stop, or maybe get some injury. But I made this experience that I got a training plan from internet, 12 weeks of training, and after 12 weeks I was perfectly able to run a marathon and to finish it without problems. So I realized that that you can actually do something, and you have this process, and there is this time perspective. So the fact that you objectively can't do something, or that something is impossible for you right now, doesn't mean it will always be impossible. You can actually do something like learn, experience, and develop, and in future it may become possible for you. So generally you have to realize you can achieve much more than you think you can, and the first step to that is just to believe in yourself, your self-esteem, your self-image. And the thing is, how do you strengthen your beliefs, right? How can you better believe in yourself? First thing, surround yourself with people you want to be like, right? Let's say you want to write a book, and you don't consider yourself a writer, an author, whatever. Or even, let's say you want to write a bestseller, but you don't know if people would like to read what you wrote and whatever. So the best thing is to surround yourself with writers or with bestseller writers, and this becomes this strengthens your belief, because you know these are people like you and me, normal people, who just have this ability to write, to publish, and so you can learn from them, and generally you see it is possible, and these are not extraordinary people from other planet. You see it is possible. And the other thing is regularly take challenges with risk of failure, because then meaning generally outside of your comfort zone, right? Where there is some risk that you won't manage it. And this means, so sometimes you will win. It strengthens naturally your your beliefs, your self-image. Sometimes you will lose, but even if you lose, you will learn it doesn't kill you, right? And you have unlimited number of tries in your life. The second goal is the second step is goals. You can, of course, achieve only something if you decide to do it, right? If you don't do anything to achieve it, nothing will happen. And the problem with most people are not that they don't achieve their goals. The problem with most people are that their goals are too low. They set too low goals. And of course they achieve them, but these goals don't develop them, don't put them further. So how to set goals in order to go in this direction of impossible? Now, this is also the only application, we'll have of that theory or of that terminology where we use that terminology. You set goals in T, but not in P, meaning you should always choose goals that are theoretically possible for you, but not practically possible. Meaning, generally, things that you believe you can do, that you believe you can achieve, but you don't know how to achieve it. And why? Because then, of course, you need to stretch, to learn, to grow in order to achieve these goals. And we are talking here, this is the old presentation. So we're missing some slides here. Doesn't matter. Okay, I will tell you. These goals need to be so-called big goals. We call them big goals. Why big goals? What are the characteristics of big goals? Big enough for you to be proud of them when you achieve them, or to be proud on working on them, right? So they should excite and drive you. They should inspire your imagination. They should make you think about it incessantly, all the time. And you can't help telling others about it. Why is it important? We'll go through that and you'll see in different points why it is important. First of all, it is much easier to achieve big goals surprisingly, than to achieve small goals. And reason is because you just have bigger motivation, you can develop much better discipline. I give you an example. Again, with marathon, maybe imagine two goals. You running a marathon and losing 5 pounds of weight. Which of the goals motivates you more? For most people, marathon is a challenge, something extraordinary. And if you run your first marathon, this is a game changer for most of people, breakthrough experience. But losing 5 pounds doesn't really make a difference in your life. Doesn't make you excited. And the thing is, if you look at the percentage of people who set out to lose 5 pounds and compare it to the percentage of people who set out to run a marathon and then really did it, you will realize that actually more people have managed to run a marathon after deciding to run it than to lose 5 pounds after deciding to lose 5 pounds. Of course, it is like more challenging and whatever, but you have just bigger motivation, better discipline, and you achieve this bigger goal more often, and you could say easier. And note one thing, when you run a marathon, you lose not only 5 pounds, you lose more pounds, maybe 10 pounds, 15 pounds on the way to doing it. So actually, you have much better results. And now we're coming to this part, which I call don't try it at home. And this, I really mean it. Don't try it at home, this is just an example, but I want to ask how many runners do we have in the audience today? Oh, there are some. Very good, very good. Do you know what's the difference between a marathon and an ultra marathon? And I promise I won't be talking about running all the day and so on. We'll have also other examples, but this is just to warm you up a little. So the difference between marathon and ultramarathon is that a marathon is considered the maximum of human, by many people, the maximum of human capacity. This is a 42-kilometer run. And ultramarathon is everything above that maximum of human capacity, like 50-kilometer run, 100-kilometer for a run and more. Marathons are run on a street, on flat streets. Ultramarathons are run in difficult terrain like mountains, deserts. You can physically prepare for a marathon and finish it without problems. With ultramarathon, none of the participants can be sure he will finish. Many things can happen. It's a long, long run. Best preparation can't protect you from suffering from unexpected crises. And actually, the art of running ultramarathons is the art of suffering, of overcoming this crisis. And this is actually the art of making your mind prevail over the weakness of your body. And you look like this when you finish a marathon, and you look like this when you finish an ultramarathon. And this guy, this was after one of my 80-kilometer mountain run, and this guy lies here, he takes a rest in the nettles after the ultramarathon, and his friend stands there and says, "Hey, have you forgotten you are afraid of snakes?" So he wasn't just aware of that anymore. So roughly a decade ago, I decided to run my ultramarathon, the 100-kilometer run in the desert. It was considered impossible for me. You have to know I am not very athletic. And since my last, I'd run just one marathon before that, 3 years earlier, had 3-year break. I am not very athletic. I was bad in sports at school. And I had no idea how to do it, how to get to run 100 kilometers. And I told about this project. I was excited about that project. Of course, I somehow put it in my mind and told it to my father. And my father is a sportsman, a really tough guy. And he looked at me and said, 100 kilometers running in the desert? Are you crazy? Do you realize what kind of people go there? You will die there. So, I'll tell you the rest of the story later, but it's important to write down your goals and visualize them. If it is not written down, it's not a goal. It's just a dream. And if you write down your goals, at least you have accountability to yourself. At least you can't then lie to yourself. And if you write them down, and here it is important to have big goals, because then you see you can visualize them. You can build images in your mind of achieving this goal and whatever. In this case, I just drew a picture of finish line 100 kilometer and me running through this finish line, and I was visualizing this moment when I am finishing this ultramarathon. And here we come to the third step. This is the plan. And big things require a plan. Without a plan, you can achieve only trivial things. There is, of course, many books about planning, and we'll not go here in depth into planning. We just consider the challenges that you have when you plan actually things that you don't know how to do, right? Because remember, you have chosen a goal from a theoretically possible that is not practically possible, meaning you don't know actually how to achieve that goal. So how can you plan if you don't know how to do it? So the first trick that I can give you, it's not very inventive, but it's ask somebody who has done it before, right? So in my case, I found a guy. He was living in the next village to my town. And this guy actually participated in the past in this ultra-marathon that I wanted to run, and he was a two-time winner of that marathon, of that ultra-marathon. I called this guy. He didn't want to talk to me, to meet, whatever. I called him to get an advice from him because he didn't believe I would participate, but I was persistent. So third time I called him, he agreed to meet for a coffee, and then he just, his first words were, "It's not as crazy as you think." And he explained to me how to train, how to prepare, what equipment to use. He even gave me some equipment. And this allowed me actually, of course, after some preparation, like maybe 4 months or 6 months, I don't remember, certainly 1,000 kilometers of training. This allowed me to go there and to participate and to finish that ultramarathon, and not only finish. I took place in the first half of the field. And I did generally something that everybody considered impossible for me to achieve. So everybody who knew me. So this is one of the tools. The other one is you can tell others about your vision and they will help you. And this is why it is important to have big goals that you are proud of, that you work on them, and you can't keep from telling others. You tell others, other people, and they say, let's say, take this example with skyscraper, right? I want to build a skyscraper. And maybe you don't know how to do it, but there will be people who will say, well, you need to do that and that and that. And I have a very good friend, and it's a pity he isn't here. He was here today. Florin, a friend from Dubai, who had this idea of planting millions and millions of trees. I plant today. Maybe you know this, this NGO. And he was in Dubai, and he gave up his great job as an agent, great career, to realize this dream. Also, he didn't know how to do it. And he left like half a year ago from Dubai, came to Romania, and today, like yesterday, we met, we talked, and turned out he made a huge progress in that, because he was talking to people about his vision, about his passion, and he found a lot of people who supported him, who told him how to do this stuff, how to pull it off, and he improved on several levels, and today he has planted thousands of trees. I have planted myself, yes, this morning a tree, so I had the opportunity to somehow participate in this great vision. But here you can see if you have something that excites you, that you want to share, it's much easier than to achieve it. And the third thing is you can actually plan things without details. If you don't know what's the process, what's the exact process. I give you a very simple example, maybe a trivial example. If you want to earn $1 million, it means a year. It means you have to earn 250 every quarter, and you can just divide it up, write it down, and then fill in the gaps as you go. And then, of course, you check it regularly if you are on the track, and what do you need to know, to learn, to do maybe in order to stay in your plan. And the next step is action. You can have the best ideas, goals, you can have the best plans, but if you don't take action, nothing will happen. So, take action. Do you know what is the most difficult thing in running? The most difficult thing in running is the first step outside your door. Just to take action. Sometimes you wake up at 5 a.m. and it's snowing outside, it's cold, it's a shitty weather, and you know you have to run, let's say, 20 kilometers. it's difficult to get out of bed and it's dark and so on, to run. It happened to me that I remember once I was running in the morning in a really snowstorm, and I remember there was a guy trying to pull out a door from a dog from the door from house, and the dog didn't want to take this walk, was opposing and working and whatever. So it was quite an experience. And I always say that the gap between ignorance and knowledge is much less than the gap between knowledge and action. Once again, the gap between ignorance and knowledge is much less than the gap between knowledge and action. So many people know, only a few really do. And to know is just not enough. Even if you don't know how to reach your goal, you can always do the first step and then find out the rest on the way. And there are these objections. For example, I am afraid I will fail, right? So many people don't start until they are sure they will succeed. And the reason for that, so they don't take action without guarantee of success. And the reason for that is probably our education, where our failures are punished. But in life, actually, it's another way around. Life doesn't punish our failures. It rewards our tries. So you have to understand that all great things, all big things that you can achieve, all dreams, they have this drawback of having a risk in it. If it doesn't have a risk, in business you say, if it doesn't have a risk, it's not an opportunity. But in life, it applies to life as well. If it is not risky, if it is straightforward, it's not a big thing. Even if you don't know you will be successful, you should at least try to do it. And if you want to do the impossible, you just need to try and try and try. And it's not the failure, it's not a failure if you don't manage. The real failure is if you not even try. And so the next objection is it worth the time and effort? And this is big things, they require several years maybe of your life, a lot of effort, maybe even money, and many people don't take this challenge, don't try to achieve these things because they are not sure this is worth time and effort. But you have to realize one thing. If you don't, you do it or you don't do it. The time will pass anyway. The only difference will be, will you have achieved it or at least tried to achieve it, developed yourself and so on the way to do that? Have you made progress or have you waited the time the time passed and you wasted the time? So, the next is the grit. So realize that success is achieved by people who just don't give up until they achieve it. There is much more people who give up than those who fail. So be prepared. There will always be setbacks. There will always be challenges. And the obstacles, this is just indispensable. This is a part of the way to success. Just assume problems will occur. And now I give you this example. The art of ultra running, art of overcoming problems, persevering through crises and hopeless situations. This is what ultra running is about. And 2 years after my first ultra marathon, and this is, I promise, the last running example, then we'll go into more real life examples. After 2 years after my first ultra marathon, I had this idea of this 111 Sahara Ultra run. It was 111 kilometers non-stop run in Sahara Desert, and this was the most traumatic experience of my life. The best European ultra runners participated, and I was an amateur, and almost half of the people who started gave up during the race due to circulatory collapse, dehydration, or sunstroke. And from those who finished, most of those who finished lost their consciousness on the way. They just fainted on the way and needed to be reconstructed, and they couldn't continue. It was an ordeal. I started with an injured knee because I had a knee injury like 3 weeks before the event or before the race, and I had the chance, the option not to participate or to participate with an injured knee. After 20 kilometers, I had wounds on my feet. It looked like this, and blood was squelching in my shoes. After 32 kilometers, I realized it's over. I was shocked because, of course, I was prepared for a crisis, but I thought, of course, I had longer runs before the event. I was prepared maybe after 60 kilometers I would get into crisis, but after 32 kilometers, how am I going to run 111 kilometers when I was at the end of my rope after 32 kilometers? So I was getting stuck in sand. It was in the dunes. I couldn't breathe because my nerve was jammed. I was limping, and with every step I felt this paralyzing pain in my knee. And my wounded feet went numb with every step. And on top of that, I was boiling in my own sweat because it was 40 degrees Celsius in the shade, but there was no shade. And I just thought I had to quit. And what do you do in such a situation? So how not to give up? Use the fear of losing to your advantage. How to do that? Invest as much as you can. Go all in. For example, you invest as much time, effort, emotions into your project so that you feel you would lose much more if you stopped now. So for me, I invested 6 months of preparation, thousands of kilometers of running, and I knew if I give up this year, I will want to do it next year. So in my head was, do I really want to do that 6 months of torture, of this preparation, heavy running again for the same race? No, I will just continue as long as I can until I drop. Because this was just a better option for me. I just had too much at stake, right? So this fear of losing, I was using to my advantage. The second thing is make your goals public. This is what most people do wrong, right? I set myself goals, but I don't tell anybody, so if I don't achieve them, nobody will know, right? But this is exactly the straight way to not achieving these goals. So post your goals on, tell your friends, announce it on your website, on your social media, and there is also a tool that I use, it's called Promise Card. It looks like this. So you write down your goal, a promise to yourself. Like here I had this, I will read you later maybe. So generally I will do that and that till that and that date. And you sign it. You multiply it like 20 times, laminate it and distribute it among your friends. And then you will see, after half a year, after a year, if it's a big project, they will keep coming to you asking, so how is your project? You promise you will do it. How is the progress? So you will not get out easily from that project. So in my case, I decided for 16 more hours of torture with no guarantee of success in this ultra race, right? I decided to push on as long as I was conscious until I drop. And there is the third one, put yourself in a situation of no return. And in my case, it was reputation, because till that, I have run several ultramarathons, and I had this image, this reputation of a tough guy among my friends, but also like my fans who read my blog, whatever, maybe watched my YouTube. And so I was stuck at that kilometer 32 with these pains and completely knocked out. And I thought to myself, so what I'm going to do to tell them now? I had pain in my knee. This was just not an option, right? So it was just too trivial, right? So I just continue until you drop. So now my goal was to just take another step and not drop from exhaustion, and another step, and not think how many steps I have ahead. And I had to endure through several other crises on the way. I will not describe to you everything, but it's dramatic. You can read it on my blog, 𝐁𝐢𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐴. But this way I was able to run another 80 kilometers further until the finish line on the kilometer 111. It took me 21 hours of hellish struggle. During the race, I drank 20 liters of water, and I lost 12 pounds of my body weight in just one day. And I realized even if you think it's over and you can't continue, even if you are at the end of your rope and you can't take any more pain, even then it doesn't mean it's over. In reality, you can endure much, much more. And in my case, I thought it was over after 32 kilometers. In reality, I could run 80 kilometers more until the finish line at the kilometer 111. And you can do much more than you realize. And I realize how far in our everyday lives we are from the limits of our capabilities, how little of our potential we actually use and exploit every day. And if we could only get close to our limits, we could accomplish amazing things and astonish the world and ourselves. And now, where the magic happens is reaching the goals. So everything seems impossible until somebody does it. And you can experience this transformation from impossible to possible, meaning this is what I was talking about at the beginning. You experience it in your mind, or in your case with your own experience, that something that was previously impossible for you, or you thought it would be impossible, became possible. Of course, you get kind of fulfillment and satisfaction. For example, after this race, as of today, I'm proud, still proud of that only 3 people in the world finished this race without fainting. And I am proud to be one of them. Because the organizer didn't organize this again. It was too dangerous. Too many people got into trouble and almost died. And he didn't want to take the risk. So only 3 people managed to do that. And it's not that much about what you get when you reach the goal. It's about who you become while doing it, who you become in that process. And the clue, and this is the magic, is the extending the spheres of possibility. You see, you set a goal that was outside of P, but within T, right? So it was, you thought it would be possible, but you didn't know how to do it. What happens when you have achieved that? So, first of all, of course, this point, this cross outside, it's now in P. Now it's possible for you, and you know how to do it. You did it, right? But you got also some experience. You got some new skills, new perspective, maybe new knowledge. So also other things, similar maybe things, became possible for you practically. So you know how to do them. Right? Maybe run, I don't know, a mountain run in this case, or some other physical stuff in this case, in my example, right? So now also the objectively possible becomes bigger. So this blue circle becomes bigger because objectively you know more, you have more experience, you have new perspectives, you have new skills. So objectively, much more is possible, even if you don't realize it is for you. But also, since you have achieved that goal, your self-image grew, your self-esteem grew, and so you believe more in yourself. So also the theoretically possible, becomes bigger. So the things that you think are possible for you, even if you don't know how to do them, this is much more. It's much more of these things, right? Because you think to yourself, well, if I pulled off that feat, maybe I can do also this and this in another area, in another way of life. So and now the magic happens when you close the magic loop, meaning now you have reached the goal, your spheres extended, spheres of possibility, your beliefs went up. Now you set higher goals, bigger goals, because you have more self-esteem. This sphere of possibility grew. So you set bigger goals, you reach the goals, this extends your spheres again, and so on. After several transitions, so to say, you will be amazed how far you can get. And I want to go with you once again through the step with another example, so you will see how much you can actually achieve. So now I have, after the ultramarathons, I have great self-esteem, and I think to myself, what can I achieve outside of sports? And I am, of course, for many years an entrepreneur, and also for many years maybe a millionaire. And I realize, the success that I have achieved is actually nothing extraordinary in business. Millionaires today, I consider average entrepreneurs, if not mediocre entrepreneurs. If you take America, if you are 5 years in business and you haven't, if you are not bankrupt yet, then you have 50% probability of being a millionaire. So half of people who are 5 years in business in America are millionaires. And $1 million, it's not enough to buy an apartment in London or in Moscow, so I don't think this is a great business experience to maybe afford an apartment. So coming from that perspective, I wanted to learn from the best businessmen. Who are the best businessmen? Success in business, you can define success in different ways of life differently, but in business it's very easy. There is one objective measure of business success. This is net worth. So the value of you have generated generally in your business career. With that definition, the best businessmen are at the same time the wealthiest people in the world. We call them billionaires, with capital B, in comparison maybe to millionaires with M. So billionaires have built huge value. And of course, we are talking about billionaires in US dollars who appear on the Forbes list of billionaires, not in Romanian lei. And of course, if you take maybe rupee, Indian rupee, I think many of us are billionaires in Indian rupee. So here we are not talking about these billionaires. We are talking about billionaires in US dollars, so really the wealthiest people in the world. And so I wanted to learn them, and to give you an example, I mean, what's the difference between millionaires and billionaires, because I think this is a striking difference and most people don't realize it. I had a friend some years ago who was telling, he is kind of a celebrity in Poland, and he was telling on his channels that he was making at that time $500,000 a year. So, and that he was doing that for several years already, so by all measures he was a millionaire in net worth, in net terms. But you have to realize one thing. For him to become a billionaire with that business performance, he would needed to be born before Jesus Christ. So this is the difference between millionaires and billionaires in wealth. And so example, if you have a hotel, you are a millionaire, but a billionaire friend of mine has 200 hotels. If you have a factory, you are a multi-millionaire. I know a billionaire who is in my book, by the way. He owns 400 factories. If you have a restaurant or several restaurants, you are a millionaire. This guy here, 𝐁𝐢𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐸 𝐾𝐄, he owns 5,000 restaurants. I mean the one on the right here, of course. And also, let's say, supermarket, huge supermarket like this. Maybe if you own a supermarket like this, you are certainly a multi-millionaire. But a guy, a billionaire who is in this book, he owns 20,000 supermarkets. So this is the difference in wealth. But of course, there is extreme difference in mindset and in personality. So I wanted to find out what in the personalities of billionaires made them so extremely successful in business. And what are the differences in thinking, in mindset, in worldview, in character between an average millionaire and with M and a billionaire with B. So this was the goal. This was the second point, right? One was belief, I was the goal here. What was the plan? The plan was to meet and interview self-made billionaires and publish the secrets of this extreme success in a book and to write a bestseller. And this, of course, I produced a promise card, and here on this promise card, it's very old already. I will write and publish a bestseller with Jack Canfield by June 30th, 2014. And who is Jack Canfield? I thought I needed Jack Canfield because Jack Canfield is the world's most successful non-fiction author. Nobody has sold so many books as this guy did, 500 million books. So I thought to myself, if I win him as a co-author, then it's easier maybe to approach the billionaires, because it's something different if I come to a billionaire and say, you know, I would like to write a book, but I have never written a book, and I think it would be interesting. And it's something different if I come to a billionaire and say, you know, we have with Jack Canfield the best author in the history of mankind, this global project, and do you want to participate in that? So this is kind of self-evident. It's a different approach, right? So let's come back to our steps. So this was the plan. The next step is action. And the interesting thing was actually that winning Jack Canfield for the project was the easiest part of the plan. Because I convinced the best salesperson in the world to sell the project generally to Jack Canfield, and he agreed, so we signed up, and he became generally my co-author in the project. But there was one hitch in the project. Nobody has ever done anything like this before. There were local projects with millionaires, like the one by Napoleon Hill. Maybe you know the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill did it 100 years ago, but nobody has ever worked with dozens of billionaires with B, and on top of that, on a global scale. Nobody has ever tried to. And why? Because the venture seems impossible to complete. When you look at the stats, billionaires are an extremely rare breed. On average, only one, when I started this project, only 1 in 5 million people in the world is a billionaire. And that means that the probability to meeting a billionaire by chance, like we go out on the street and the first person who you meet, that he is a billionaire, it's like winning the national pot in the main pot in the national lottery. Now, I needed at least 10 billionaires for the project, better 20. So do you know anybody who won the main pot in national lottery 20 times? Common sense tells us this is plain impossible. Now imagine how overwhelmed I was. I was just faced with the challenge on this magnitude, and I didn't know where to start and how to get to them and how to convince them. But then I had this promising contact from a friend. He gave me a phone number to a former employee of one of the billionaires, but I was hesitating for weeks. I just needed to call the guy and try to convince him to somehow connect me through several other guys to that billionaire. He was like a medium-sized manager in a billion-dollar company, whatever. So I was hesitating for weeks. I was gathering courage. I was weighing all pros and cons, procrastinating. I was scared to death to just call him because I was afraid to fail. What if he rejects me, if I'm not successful with that? And at that time, I produced these promise cards, and I gave one of these cards to this friend who gave me the phone number. And this was interesting what the friend told me. He said, listen, I gave you a potential contact to a billionaire, and you are giving me some shitty scrape of paper? Come on, put yourself together, get serious. So I didn't think twice. I took a phone and called the guy, and it went smooth. From then, I had my first, soon I had my first billionaires. But, so we are in the action. So I took the action. But the thing is, on the way there, I got hundreds of rejections. My deadline was over a year, I think. A year passed already. Jack Canfield withdrew from the project. Twice. Once I convinced him to come back. Again. The reason was he didn't manage to convince any billionaire to participate. And I had 10 already, but I was late in the project. I thought I needed more. I was at some point 3 years behind the plan. And then all this social pressure came because I made it public, the project. I recorded the TEDx on YouTube. So followers started to pressure me. There were like negative comments under my TED Talk that I couldn't even remove because it wasn't my channel, it was TEDx channel. So I was so pressed to finalize. And at the end, I invested 7 years of my life. I needed several travels around the globe, like physically around the globe. I traveled several times for this project. I invested $250,000. I involved over 100 people in the project, and including 28 billionaires. And at the end, I interviewed 28 billionaires from 6 continents in face-to-face meetings and published this book, The $1 Billion Secret, you can see here. And Jack Canfield, at the end, joined the project again and wrote a foreword for the book because there was no more effort to invest, right? So, and in that book, you have the first-hand knowledge of self-made billionaires, of the best entrepreneurs of our times, of the wealthiest people in the world. It is told, of course, in their own words. I described here 20 principles of billionaire wealth and success. It became #1 Amazon bestseller in USA, so in America, in United Kingdom, in Canada, in Brazil, in United Arab Emirates, in Germany, in many other countries. We have 16 translations. It became the greatest success of all books published by my publisher. And of course, it was featured in all these international media outlets, NBC, ABC, CBS, BBC, Fox, Forbes, and so on. 300 media outlets, 30 countries. I got countless interviews at radio, TV stations on 3 continents. And of course, today you have the opportunity to acquire this book, to buy this book, and get my signature in that book. I will be sitting somewhere and giving you signatures. If we run out of books, I have brought also like postcards, so you can like pre-order probably, I think, with the guys, and I give you my signature on the postcard, so you'll have my signature. And now closing the loop, of course, right? So point 7 is closing the magic loop. What happens then? So I tell you how my life looks like right now. Now, as of today, I have 40 billionaire friends. And I have two major goals in my life. One is to build a global organization with 100 billionaires in it. And right now, I run this organization, 10-digit impact group. I have 15 billionaires in that group. 10-digit, because it's a group of 10-digit individuals, means billionaires. If you write $1 billion or several $1 billion, you will see it's 10 digits. With the global reach and the vision to have a positive impact on lives of billions of people. So this is the goal of the organization. And here you see one of the sessions. In the pandemic, we had like virtual sessions. All of these guys are billionaires. This one is from Canada. This is Tim Draper from USA. This Australia, India, the richest guy in pharma industry. Turkey, Australia, UK, Russia. All billionaires except for me at the moment. And the second goal is I want to add 100 billionaires to the Forbes list of billionaires. And the motto I have and that I want to leave with you is only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. So thank you. Mulțumesc. You can reach me like that. So as I said, you're invited to get my book and to get my signature in it, or pre-order, get my signature on the card if you run out of that. I'm open for questions. Yeah, and happy to share. And let's have a party later, right? So any questions about the methodology? On this side?
Come on, I'm sure you have some curiosities. What? Me, yeah.
Hi, my question is very pragmatic. Your first million was made from an e-commerce?
Yes.
Great, yeah. I have e-commerce. I'm waiting for the million. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In that part, any questions? Cosmin, mă ajut, te rog? Bine, coleg.
Hi, I have a curiosity. You have always had these beliefs and applied the 7
No,
parts?
as I said, this is a process, right? In this
okay,
circle,
but how and when came this change in your life and you...
I think with this project, No Limits, when I at some points realized, you can actually extend the limits of your possibilities if you reach the limits. Because at the end, you will never reach your limit. When you try to reach your limit, this limit goes farther, right? So when doing that, you just get more and more of self-esteem and of courage, maybe. And then at some point I realized this process here, this magic loop, and if you make several circles in this loop, you will get to such a, you will just spread your wings and go to the space generally, right?
Thank you.
Take off. Okay, there is no more questions? There is, okay. Do we have time? Yeah.
I would like to know what techniques do you use to be present in your daily activities?
To be present in the
your-
daily activities.
Yes, in your projects. To reach your
So this
goals.
is about the, let's say, discipline, right?
Yes, discipline.
So this is what I said generally. If you define your goals, if you set for yourself big goals, and big goals, it's a pity we didn't have this slide. It was in the newest version of the presentation, but I was talking about that. If you, if this motivates you, right? If this makes you proud and so on, it's much easier to have discipline, right?
Yes.
If, for example, I set out to run these 100 kilometers, the greatest achievement at that time in my life, in my sports life, then the motivation was so high. It wasn't a problem to get up at 5 and in the dark and run, even if it was snowing, raining, or windy, whatever, because you have this great drive.
Okay.
And this you can have only if you set for yourself the big goals. The bigger, the better, right?
But it was your passion to do this marathon, or it was only an objective to...
Yeah, it was at that time. It was my passion, but I think passion is not enough. It's all the tricks that I told you. It's also, like, for example, you know, interviewing billionaires. People kept telling me it's a nice lifestyle to go around the world and interview billionaires. Of course. But at some point, if you get too many rejections and you don't make progress in the project, you get demotivated, and then the other aspects are important, that you made your goals public and you get pressure from your friends, from the world, that say, so it was a fake, right? You just came up here and told the world you will interview billionaires, whatever, but in reality you didn't pull it off. You were just bragging, but it's not real, right? So in order to, you know, to preserve your integrity, you have to do that. You have to deliver, right? At some point. And that's why it's also important. I gave you all the tools, actually. So if you analyze all the tools, they are enough to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Okay, thank
I
you.
have a question here.
Okay, last one.
Yeah.
Left side. Your left side. Other left.
Yeah.
Someone said the most difficult thing after making your first million is making the second one. From all in your meetings with those billionaires, is this true?
No, not necessarily. I didn't tell you here, I mean, in that presentation, anything about billionaire mindset. Billionaire mindset is another level, right? And you will find it in the book. But it is really, okay, the first million, it is set, but the thing is we have inflation. So the first million in the 70s, 1970s, is something different than the first million today. Probably today we are talking about first 10 millions, if you would take the same measure, right? So it's not, it translates maybe in the first 10 millions, let's say it this way.
So basically billionaires think just like us.
No.
No?
There are 20 things, 20 principles, because this was the research of the book. What is the difference between millionaire mindset and billionaire mindset? And there are a lot of differences. I discovered, like, I took the common denominator of all the billionaires from different, like, of many billionaires from different world regions, cultures, industries, age groups, and so on, compared them, and looked for the common denominator and the differences to millionaires. And I give you one example. There are motivations, like in the area of motivation. There are motivations that can make you successful in the sense of becoming a millionaire. You can become a millionaire or multi-millionaire with that motivation. Let's say if personal luxury lifestyle motivates you, then you can become successful with that motivation, but you will encounter a limit, roughly at the moment maybe at $25 million, where this motivation will not drive you further, because the increase in your lifestyle, generally with 25 millions, you have maxed out your everyday life. This, let's say, simple life in the sense of clothing, driving a car, eating, housing, pretty much maxed out. Of course, you can still increase, bigger boat, bigger house, and so on, but the increase in your lifestyle in comparison with the effort you have to put in is just not comparable. You will get an increase of 1, maybe 5% in your lifestyle. You have to put in much more work. And this is just not enough motivation. It stops motivating you. So you will decline at that moment, maybe stagnate, or maybe go bankrupt, or you will go for a 2-year sabbatical to find your real self, so to say, right? So you need different motivations for that. And I identified 10 motivations that billionaires have, and they are in the book. You can read about them. But this is just one of the examples. Also, the approach to reality of the world is different with billionaires. There are a lot of examples, right? Like, for example, as a millionaire, you try to optimize your gameplay in business. You know how your industry works, and you want to outcompete your competitors, right? But as a billionaire, you realize you can actually change the reality. You can actually define the rules of the game, right? So it's a different mindset. So there's a lot of that stuff. You will find it in the book, right? So I recommend reading.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafael. I want to say that I run 4 semi-marathons. Maybe if I go to marathon, I will be closer to get millionaire. So God help me. Thank you very much. Noi ne apropiem de finalul acestei seri, dar mai avem 2 momente importante. Unul dintre ele este cel în care vreau să precizez că JCI România vrea să lanseze poate cea mai importantă invitație a serii, invitația la conferința europeană JCI. Acest eveniment adună sub aceeași umbrelă peste 1500 de membri JCI, tineri profesioniști, antreprenori și lideri în domeniile lor de expertiză din toată Europa, dar și din întreaga lume. Rog colegii să dea play la video. Nu avem sunet? Nu? Sau urmează? Acum rezolvă colegii? Nu? 2 secunde să vedem dacă... Problemele tehnice sunt uneori inerente, așa că mulțumim pentru îngăduință.
Between tradition and technology, to Romania, the beautiful land of diversity and contrast. The contrast between the dust of the past and the spark of the future. Between tradition and technology. Between late changers and early adopters. The place where people party like no others. And relax Out of the clash of extremes, a new generation of dreamers and doers has emerged. It's us. It's us who imagine sustainable ways to use the land and build up the cities. It's us who craft a better world for the future us. It's us who care about tomorrow's green. It's us who make it grow. So come meet us at the 2023 JCI European Conference in Bucharest. Just take the leap and get ready to be amazed from landing to takeoff. With the most welcoming places to relax, yummy traditional food, wonderful event venues, high-class speakers, funky parties, amazing scenery and unforgettable experiences. The playtime and work time of a lifetime. And behind it all, it's us. We are the spirited and restless team of JCI Bucharest. And alongside the really supportive authorities,
Vous êtes bienvenus à Bucarest. On est très honoré de vous inviter dans une des villes les plus dynamiques de l'Europe, une ville qui est très accueillante pour des jeunes entrepreneurs.
we just want to say one more time,
Welcome to diversity, biodiversity, sustainability,
and fun.
We are ready for you.
Get ready for us!
Așadar, ne vedem la București între 24-27 mai 2023, iar mai multe detalii vă invit să găsiți pe pagina de Facebook JCI Suceava și JCI România.
În continuare vom face extragerea pentru premiile corporate. Avem 12 premii. Dacă mai sunt persoane care nu au pus cărțile de vizită în urnă, ar fi momentul ideal să o facă. Aici?
Aici, cine vreți, haideți acum, un minut. Mai este cineva? Care ar dori? Da, avem și cărțile de vizită.
Uite acolo, pe masă.
Da. Deci acum vor fi premiile corporate, după care urmează celelalte premii. Pentru a doua extragere de premii, ați primit niște cartonașe cu niște numere. Sunt persoane care nu au primit? Dacă da, să ridice mâna. Ok. Bogdan, Cosmin, rog să mai dați cartonașe cu numere. Aici. Rog să mai ridici mâna cine nu a primit cartonaș cu număr, ca să vadă colegii mei. Uitați aici unul. Aici. Mai vrea cineva? Ok. Bun. Alina?
Începem. Primul pachet, gold, din partea lui Andy Sekei.
Și o extrag, da?
Și extragi, da. Să vedem.
Să nu mă uit.
Da, nu te uita.
Uite aici.
Ok, să vedem. Se pune, dacă nu e în sală, nu-i dăm premiu? Sau cum facem? Dacă nu e în sală, nu-i dăm premiu?
Doru, Cosmin, dacă nu este în sală, dăm premiu sau nu?
Nu dăm
premiu,
nu
da?
dăm, nu?
Ok.
Ionuț Târlă. Ne pare rău, Ionuț. Ești? De fapt, stai că era aici la masă. Ionuț, ești? Oh, da, felicitări, Ionuț. Ai câștigat cadoul de la Andy Sekei. Te vor contacta probabil cei din echipă ulterior. Felicitări.
Felicitări.
Hai să te pupăm.
Putem să-ți dăm cartea de vizită,
Da,
ca să
înapoi.
ții minte că e Andy Sekei, da? Bun.
Apoi, un cadou din partea lui Adrian Dragomir, 3 luni acces full pe platforma termene.ro. Ștefan Manolache, pâine tradițională, pâine cu suflet. Este? Felicitări!
Bravo! Puteți veni să dați mâna cu noi, dacă... să confirmăm că sunteți în sală.
Da. Felicitări!
Felicitări! Colegii mei o să vă contacteze, da?
Roman Tanasiciuc, program de Training Leadership Essential, un premiu. Ciurlă Constantin.
Felicitări!
Yay! Vezi că mă uitam la tine așa insistent, nu te-ai prins? Da, e ok. Acum avem
contacta colegii, da?
5 premii din partea lui Robert Răducanu. Primul premiu, 2 sesiuni gratuite de executive coaching. Ana Maria Vodă.
Bravo! Felicitări, Ana Maria. Colegii mei te notează și te contactează.
Okay.
Următorul.
2 sesiuni gratuite de executive coaching. Sunt 3 premii la fel. Ana Speed, Veronica Iremescu.
Este? Bravo!
Felicitări, Veronica!
Felicitări pentru activitatea ta în cadrul firmei. Te vedem pe Facebook, ești foarte activă.
Vei fi foarte încântată. Ok.
Da, ne bucurăm.
E perfect, bun.
Cui?
2 sesiuni gratuite de executive coaching cu Robert Răducanu.
Veronica Irimescu.
Următorul, același pachet, 2 sesiuni gratuite de executive coaching. Andrei Gatea.
Yay! Andrei?
Puțin entuziasm și pentru Andrei, da?
Complet?
Așa.
Andrei Gatea.
Felicitări, pe asta vreau eu să depun.
Colegii ați notat, da?
Da, te-a notat.
Felicitări.
Dacă te-a notat.
Ok. Colegii mei notează și te contactează după aia, da? Mulțumim. Următorul? Ce?
La fel, același premiu.
Să nu mă uit.
Anca Trifina. Doamna doctor.
Super. Deci, Anca Trifina, da?
Mulțumim. Felicitări.
Felicitări. Colegii și-au notat și o să vă sune, da?
Perfect, da.
Super. Următorul?
Încă unul, a fost 5, nu? A fost 5, da. Acum, pachet business coaching plus o oră cadou adăugată la fiecare pachet, unde antreprenorul pune în practică, oferit de Angel Răducanu. Toate 3, da. Marius Achiței.
Super, bravo, Marius!
Trebuia să câștige Struții ceva. Felicitări!
Bravo!
Încă
deci Marius Achiței a câștigat, mai spune o dată pentru
premiu, un pachet business coaching plus o oră adăugată la fiecare pachet unde antreprenorul pune în practică, din partea lui Angel Răducanu.
Okay.
Mai avem 2 premii identice, mai tragem 2 bilete.
Da?
Anca Oprea, Ana Speed.
Bravo! Deci încă un pachet dat de Angel Răducanu, Anca Oprea. Felicitări, te contactează colegii, da? Bravo!
Și încă unul la fel.
Și încă o extragere pentru acest... Să nu mă uit.
Eu ăsta nu citești tu.
Este doctor Alpha House Construct, Pașcari Bogdan. Este? Super. Felicitări, Bogdan. Bravo. Deci, colegii mei o să te sune. Doru, ai notat? Pașcar Bogdan, da? Bravo. Super.
Și pentru că este premiu oferit de tine, suma de 1000 de euro pentru pregătirea și depunerea unui proiect pentru accesarea fondurilor nerambursabile. Să vedem, draga noastră, pe cine instruiești.
Pe cine ajut? Să fie cu noroc.
Bogatul Nicoleta. Ana Speed.
Ana Speed. Super. Bravo. Sunteți în masa norocoasă în seara asta. Deci, Doru, pachetul de la mine, da? Mulțumesc.
Bun. Lumea a început deja să servească cina.
Da, deci vă recomandăm să vă apropiați cu încredere de zona de food. Avem încă 20 de minute pauză, după care urmează gala toip și încă o extragere de premii. Da? Și party după. Până la ora 2 avem voie să stăm aici, așa că enjoy!